Nothing is working. After coaching over 150,000 people all over the world, I know with 100% certainty that everyone I work with at some point will say this to me. It doesn't matter if it's a highly successful entrepreneur looking to scale their business into the 8 figures or a new solopreneur starting their business from scratch. The emotions are the same. It's the circumstances that are different. Both of these women are going after something bigger, something more. It's risky, it's terrifying, and vulnerable AF. Of course, your physical and mental fear responses are going to come up in full force. This happens to me too. The key is to work ourselves back into a calm, surrendered state, as this is where the abundance flows. I couldn't be more excited for you to listen to this incredibly raw conversation between me and Kelly Chase, who is the reality star of the hit Netflix show Love is Blind. And we're going to talk about the reality of going after your dreams. So you know, I have opened my winter applications for my famous 2-month private business coaching program. I've never opened them in December. Normally, I wait until January, but I want to make sure that you're stacking the odds in your favor to have success. You're setting yourself up with the support now so you can be absolutely certain that 2023 is going to be your most abundant year, and you're setting yourself up in this way. So you can swipe up. The application is in my show notes. I only take a maximum of 6 private clients at a time. These sessions would start in January, but the application process is now. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast. I'm your host, and you are going to get something a little different today. We're going sideways. I'm kind of in a mood. You know what that means. And if this time of year brings up so much crap, and even though you don't want it to, and you go into it intending for it not to, and avoiding all the things, there's always something inevitably that comes up. So 1, you're going to be highly entertained. 2, we're going to address some hard shit. And I just want to give a trigger warning ahead. I am going to be talking about trauma, in particular sexual abuse. So just giving a heads up for you guys. But this is an important episode for you to really listen to in a conversation, because my guest today, Kelly Chase, is someone that you might not have watched her show, depending on how obsessed you are with reality TV or not. But she's someone where on the outside, you could make a lot of assumptions about her life, you know, what she has going on, what she has that you don't have, that things are maybe easier for her. And there's always a story behind the show. And that's what we're getting at today. And I just want you guys to know, when you're listening in, the whole goal of this podcast, whether you're a new listener or you're an OG, you're not fucking alone. This life is really fucking hard, no matter how much money you have in the bank. When I was broke, it was hard. As a multimillionaire, it's hard. When I was single, it's hard. When I was engaged, it was hard. It's hard. You know, it's hard no matter how someone is on the outside. We just don't always see or hear those stories. And I like peeling back the curtain. So welcome, Kelly.
Hi, thank you. I loved that intro. That was so true. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to share all the things to make your listeners feel very, very much not alone. Holy shit.
Well, first of all, I need to know these things. How in the fuck did you end up on a reality show? Fun fact, I've been on a couple,
Okay.
but as a like supporting role, so to speak. But it's like always a weird story how you end up on a reality show. So like, how did this happen? She's on Love is Blind, you guys, the Netflix hit. So how did this happen? Because I don't really picture you sitting there like typing applications to be on a show.
Well, you're right. I am not one to type up applications to be on any type of reality show unless it's like a game show. I mean, give me like Family Feud or Price
I
is Right.
love Family Feud.
I am there for those. A love dating relationship show. Honestly, my story is a lot different than anyone else's because all of my other castmates, we were season 1, so it's not like there was a casting for it. We were all recruited. However, my story was different because they already had my phone number on file because years prior to when Married at First Sight was coming out, they reached out to me for Married at First Sight because an ex-boyfriend gave them my information.
I'm dying. Note to any ex-boyfriends listening, please do not submit me for a show. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So, it was like, I didn't know how to receive it. I'm like, should I take that as a compliment? Like, that's really nice of him. Or am I taking that like the wrong way of being like, what, you don't think I can find love on my own? I need a show to do this. So I'm sure that it was more the first thing, but whatever. But I'm like, thank you, that you set the tone. And, had you never done that, who knows that I would have ever been on Love is Blind.
So they didn't think you were like the fit. That's just how this works, you guys. Like they didn't think maybe you were like the right fit for Married at First Sight. So then when they came up with Love is Blind, they're like, oh, who do we have already in our system that could be a good fit?
Well, I actually went through the whole interview process with Married at First Sight, and I'm going to say I ghosted them. I was like, I got
interesting.
Yeah, they sent me the contract. And although I knew because they had told me during every interview, okay, remember, you're going to walk down the aisle, the first episode, the first day of filming, you're walking down the aisle to marry your husband. And that's how Married at First Sight does. That's what they do. And I don't know. I think I was just maybe more caught up in the interviewing and wow, I get to be on TV. I wanted to be an actress since I was 5 years old. I've always wanted to be on TV, especially in the reality world, but but when I saw it in writing in a contract, plus the, hey, if you maybe you sign up and you start going through it, but then you back out, there's a clause in there. It's you will own this company thousands of dollars. And I was like, yeah, that's not the risk I'm willing to take today. So I think I may have ghosted them for a moment, and then I sent an email eventually and was like, yeah, sorry, this is not for me.
Interesting that.
I'm surprised that they called me since I kind of last minute was like, nope, sorry, bye.
I mean, they obviously wouldn't have gone through that far in the process if they didn't see that you were going to be good TV or a good fit. So they saw something, and I'm sure you're not the first person, but I find it interesting. So were you also a little skittish in the Love is Blind when they presented the contract again? Did those same emotions come up?
Yeah, they did. I was delaying signing the contract. And so casting was calling me hey, we need to get this going. And my casting director calls me or she texts me and she's like, Kel, what's going on? She's like, let's hop on a phone call. And I did. And she was like, what's going on? Why haven't you signed the thing? I thought we were good. And I just said, I know what reality TV can do. And I have a really good reputation in my city. I don't want my reputation to be ruined. And she was like, well, we're not trying to ruin anybody's reputation. We're just doing an experiment. And so, I don't know, I guess she painted a more glorious picture for me. And I was like, okay.
Do you regret, is there any regret from doing it or not at all?
No, not at all. Mm-mm. No.
Where do you think that came from where you had the fear, right, that maybe you'd be painted in a way that wasn't flattering or, that could tarnish your reputation, which does happen,
it does,
right?
Yeah.
It does happen. where do you think that came from within you? That you had that, you had that, because that means you actually, cared what people thought about you. Where do you think that comes from?
Oh yeah. Deep-rooted people pleaser over here. When I was 4 in preschool, this is my story. When I was 4 in preschool, a girl told me I couldn't play with her and the little girls in my class. And I cried and it was terrible. I mean, my mom remembers the story like it was yesterday too. And I just remember picking you up and you started crying because I asked, how was your day? And you started crying and told me about it. And then you were like, I'll never not have any friends. So, and I didn't. I love people.
So was it then difficult for you going through school to make friends from that initial incident?
It wasn't. What's so wild about it, it wasn't. I think what really started to trigger that again, though, was when I started liking boys. And they weren't liking me back. And then I'm like, oh, that's weird. Because I've always, in my high school date, I've always had guy friends or whatever. But even in preschool, I remember the guys would want to play with me though. So when guys started not liking me, not that they didn't want to be friends, they were just like, well, I don't like you like that in a romantic way. I would always be like, why not? I probably was that crazy girl, the quote unquote, so I always wanted to be the cool girl. Oh, you don't like me? Well, we can still be friends. I'm still the cool girl. Mm-hmm.
So do you self-identify as a codependent like myself, or is that too strong of a word for you?
Yeah, I would say so. I haven't read Codependency No More. I haven't read the books on codependency, but I'm sure that yes, that lands.
Yeah, because, that people pleasing is a key factor of, of codependency. And it's where in your household do you think it came from where it was important to you? We all wanted, if we liked a boy or liked a girlfriend or whatever, you like somebody, of course we want to be liked back. I think that's human nature. Totally. But did it spin you out when someone you liked didn't like you?
I think that I want to say that there was a guy that I crushed on in high school, and although I wound up dating someone else, there were still it's I had this problem letting go, and I still do. I'm working on that, but that has definitely been something. It's still that, okay, well, I can still be the cool girl.
Letting go of if they gave some form of what felt like rejection, right? Not kind of chewing on it and ruminating on it.
Right, exactly. Although I was able to move forward and date other people, I still had this okay, well, but whenever they were around, I still got this giddy feeling, or I would still I'd still hold on to this story I created in my head around well, they could like me. I don't know. It was so bizarre.
Yeah. No, listen, I did other wild shit. So I get it. I was never without a guy. I had something called the back. I coined it, very smart for my, freshman, sophomore year of high school. I coined it the back burner guy. So if I was starting to not really vibe or get that freshie high off the guy I was with anymore, I always made sure I had I had the backup guy, the back burner guy. He was all, the sauce that was simmering that you because I had to have that for me. Yeah. If I did not have the supply of the guy, then I internalized it. That meant that I was not wanted. I wasn't cool. I wasn't desirable. And that meant something was defective within me.
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. I would say that probably underlying story with all that is why am I not good enough? What's wrong with me? That's definitely been it, with the girl in preschool to guys to, anyone who doesn't accept me. It's well, why?
How fucking terrifying though to go on TV.
Right.
Where you are actually setting yourself up
for rejection or possible
and publicly. And that you were able to even do that. So you had to have done some work around it, or you were just looking for a major pain hit. Yeah. What made you go, okay, I'm going to do this, you had to have stuff that came up that was terrifying.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I had, let's see, we filmed that in October of 2018. And a year prior to is when I like started my whole like self-love, personal, like diving headfirst into personal development. So with that being said, I was able to grow a lot and shift and evolve throughout those 12 months. But, I hadn't really, that was more of like doing it on my own. It's not like I was working with it. I was like listening to podcasts, reading personal development books and that kind of thing, and started meditating, journaling and all that. But so what popped up for me, like during filming, I mean, the producers are like, not to say they're like interrogating you, they're just asking you questions. They're, active interviewing more or less. But they would have conversations like what we're having. Oh,
like they ask you deep shit.
They ask you deep shit because they want to bring this stuff up because one, they may use it against you. Two, it helps them create their narrative. Awesome. So stuff I cried almost every single solo interview, like, because they would just bring stuff up. It was either about family stuff or ex-boyfriends or the sexual assault or that 4-year-old story, like something that I had never addressed was coming up. And granted, like I said, like I hadn't really worked with anyone on a one-on-one basis. And after that sexual assault that happened 10 years prior to, I went to one therapy session. And my perception was that the therapist spoke down to me. Like she was like, and you kept coming back, like you kept going back to this guy.
And she might have been.
And she may have been, but it didn't sit well with me back then because I feel like everybody was doing that to me, So I get in the car with my mom and my mom was like, how'd it go? And I was like, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm healed. I'm good. I don't need to go back. And I never did. So never addressed it.
Wow. So you carried that. Tell us about, as much of course as you feel comfortable with. Tell us about what happened with that assault.
Yeah. It was when I was in college and I was friends with a guy and our friendship started becoming a little bit more romantic. The friends with benefits type of situation started happening. I had never been in a situation like that. So it was new for me while also I was like, I feel like I'm crushing on other guys. And he was making it very apparent. It's fine. Like we can like see other people kind of thing, but like we can also hook up. And I'm like, okay. But that situation went south pretty quick, meaning we would be at bars and he would like see me talking to a guy and it may not even have been a random guy. It may have been like a mutual friend of ours. And he'd walk straight up and be like, you fucking whore. What, are you going to go fuck him tonight? And like me and the guy would both be like, what? We're literally talking about economics class right now. What are you talking about? It was wild. This went on for quite some time. And yes, there was alcohol involved in whatever most of the time that these incidences happened. But, I kept like, he would like call the next day and be like, hey, will you come over and like, let's talk about things. And when I would go over to his house to talk about things, because like I knew him as a friend first and I loved this friend. So it's like the story in my head of like, I'm hoping.
Well, we give a lot of grace for people that we care about. Like, absolutely. He was drinking. I mean, he does like me more than I like him. He got a little jealous.
Correct. Yeah. So it was a lot of stories and me just hoping that everything would be okay. And like, we could go back to just being friends and all of that. But where the sexual abuse came in is in those situations where I would go over to his house, we would start having conversations and he would like, I don't know, I would like maybe get up to go to the bathroom or something. And I came back and my purse is not sitting on the couch anymore on the coffee table, or he'd take my keys. He'd hide my stuff. So I was like trapped in his house until the point that I had to do something sexual to get out of his house. So that's like what happened. Like oral sex was what
you had to do something you knew in order for him to tell you where your stuff is, or where you felt like you could exit somewhat safely.
Right. And I don't like, obviously, I mean, it was so long ago now, 15 years ago now, but it was like, I don't remember the first time that it happened for me to be like, why, like, how did it escalate to me doing this? Right. Like, I just know that it happened. It happened multiple times. Okay, Kelly, like, why would you continue to do that if you knew what the, consequence, what the action was going to be? I don't know. It was just, but every time it's like, you expect something different. That's any abusive situation. You feel
Yeah.
like, oh, you're in this, oh, he'll be different next time. He'll be different next time. And
Power of denial, because
yeah.
believing the truth about somebody you actually care about is
Yeah.
far more painful, because that would mean he's fucking evil.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't want to believe that because I knew like him before. And so I was like, he has a really good heart. He's so nice and he's so generous to everybody. And yeah, so it got really bad. There was, I mean, he would call, like he would take my phone, like when we were out, let's just say we were at a bar, my purse is like sitting on the thing, you know, in college, we're not even thinking about people stealing our shit. So my purse is on the bar. He would grab my phone out of my purse and call my parents at 1:32 a.m. to be like, your daughter's hanging out around me. My parents were like, what the fuck are you doing?
Wow. Very sick.
Yeah.
But also an intimidation method.
Yes.
Where very easily, you know, you're getting multiple regular, consistent messages like, you don't follow suit, you're in danger.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it went from like the sexual abuse to then getting like physically abusive, like, okay, verbally, emotionally to sexually, and then getting physically abusive. Obviously that did not last very long, but the first incident of him doing anything, I went after, there was like a group of us going, I want to say it was like after the bars, like we all went to someone's house. So of course people are drinking. I actually hadn't been drinking. I was driving. And so I pull up and my friend goes inside my friend's house and she like comes outside like really quick and she's, so-and-so is here, yells it to me. And I was like, shit. And before like it felt like before she could even get it all out of her mouth, he like comes down and just pushes me. And this person, I'm like 5'2", 110 pounds. This guy is 6 foot, 240 pounds. So big dude pushing me. And there were a handful of guys like standing outside, like hanging out, talking, whatever. Like the entire, just everyone just stopped. And they were like, what just happened? Holy shit. So now I'm crying. I like, you know, scuffed up knee or whatever from falling on the ground. And some guys like take care of things. But then someone took my keys and they were like, oh, you're not driving anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Next day, I get like a text from him or something and was like, your windshield of your car is broken or cracked or something. And I was like, what? So my girlfriend like drove me to go meet him. And I'm like, why do you have my car? Like he had my car. He took my keys from the person who took my thing. And I mean, he tells me that he was like, oh, I like went to go get it like washed at the car, like a car wash or something, and something broke on it. I was like, no, you punched my fucking windshield, you psycho.
Wow. This guy's very sick. How did you end up untangling from this monster? Because I'm very familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that to untangle while doing it in a way that you are making sure you're not setting them off so you're as safe as possible is a very delicate dance. How did you do this? Yeah.
So again, kind of like within the same like few days, because he had broken my windshield, I was like, you need to fix it. You need to fix my windshield. And I was so scared to tell my parents. I was terrified to tell my parents because they had threatened to be like, you're moving your ass home and you can commute to school every day if you want, or you're going to take online classes, or I'm going to pull you from school. And I went to UGA. It's a great school. So I was like, no. So I was trying to like handle everything on my own, which again, we had one more situation. I drove my car. He was like, I'll take care of your windshield. Just drive your car over to my neighborhood and I'll call one of those on-site like window glass people. And I was like, okay, so if that happens, he fixes it. And I'm like, great, cool. I'm out. You know, I start to leave or something and I don't know how. Anyways, he gets in my car with me and I'm like, get out of my car. Like, I'm going home now. Like, we're done. This is done. We're over. And I pull off to the side and there happened to be like a landscaper doing some stuff. And he started to get, I don't know if you didn't see the landscaper. I don't know. But anyways, I like keep looking at the landscaper because he's now like grabbing my arm because I was like trying to get out of the car now. And I'm like, because you're crazy. And the landscaper like comes over and he's like, can I help you guys with anything? Is there a problem? And I was like, yeah, there is. And he was like, no. And she's fine. We're fine. Like that. And I like in sheer fright. I'm like, I don't know what he's going to do, whatever. And of course I like silence myself. And so anyhow, somehow I was able to get out. Like he let me like go. Nothing else happened. He let me go. And I feel like I called my parents at that point. And I was like, okay, this is what happened. My parents immediately called the cops. And so we got the police involved. He had I guess like they didn't do like restraining orders. I don't know why. I didn't understand it all back then, but I mean, we had to go to court and everything. And there was like a bond put up against him. I don't really understand or know what really happened with that, because like months later, I received a phone call and he was like, I think he may have went to jail, or I think he did get arrested. But regardless, there was something like we weren't supposed to be talking or whatever. And he like called me at 2:00 in the morning one time. And I was like, I want to think, I'm like blanking because I'm like, did he go to jail?
Very normal
like
for
like,
a trauma survivor. I mean, you're going to have gaps in that. I mean, when you saw his number on your phone, you had to have had a full visceral reaction.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, and I answered it, not because I didn't have his name. I don't think I had his name programmed anymore, but I knew his number. You know what I mean? So it's like I saw the number and I was like, hello? I don't even know why I answered the phone at 2:00 in the morning. It woke me up. But yeah, and he was like, hey. And it was like so weird. I hadn't heard after that. I don't think we like had any communication.
Did you get caught back up in his cycle again?
No.
Well, good for you. Because I mean, that's very common to get caught back up again. Was there any part of you when you started doing stuff in the TV world that was nervous because you knew he would be seeing all of this stuff?
Yeah. There definitely has been. I mean, granted, I want to say that's probably the most detailed that I've explained that story, but I didn't know, like even on the show, I did explain some of this. They cut obviously like some of it or whatever, but there was a scene about the sexual assault and I was explaining it more, but they made it look like I was like physically just not attracted to the guy versus using that story. But there was a part of me that when I was filming though, and I'm sharing this story, not in specific details or whatever, but I was sharing it for him. Had they shown that, he probably would have been like, she's talking about me. And yeah, I was definitely like worried and concerned, but I don't know. I mean, just like I'm telling you right now, it's like, there's so many of us that go through this type of thing, and it's more people do need to talk about it. There needs to be that awareness. And if like, I don't know, I mean, it's not just the show, like prior to the show, like there are times when I'm like walking through my condominium and I'm like, there's a vision of this man standing at my front door.
Yeah. It's PTSD you're having. And that's what my next question is, that happened. And you said that was 15 years ago, but how did that carry through like in the background of your life and affect your dating life? Because I, speaking for myself, because every, survivor has a different story. But for me, like I still have to do a lot of intimacy work. And I've been attracted to a lot of people who weren't capable of true intimacy, because then I never had to, it felt safer that way.
Yeah.
Not with female friendships, but like with romantic relationships. Like, but I would complain and I'd be like, oh, another, emotionally unavailable guy. But I didn't realize that there was part of me that kind of liked that because I didn't have to be fully in and exposed. How did that pivotal situation in your life start affecting you and your romantic life?
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, on multiple different levels, but I was very disconnected. I had this story that I was broken for a long time. Granted, I still have not had an orgasm during sex, but I have been able to like self-pleasure myself to an orgasm.
I read that when I was like doing some research and I was like, but have you wait, hold on. We got a sidebar in the show. But can you do it on your own?
No.
Oh, that's interesting because
with
with a vibrator.
Yeah.
So you can orgasm with yourself.
Yes.
I used to be like that where I could make myself, but it would take, the guy would have to be like an Olympic, world renowned talent for that to occur.
Oh my God, I love it.
So that's one way that you're keeping yourself safe, because it's actually very vulnerable
for sure
to have an orgasm with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I would say just every boyfriend got like frustrated, you know, that they like couldn't get me off and things like that.
So you didn't do faking it? I mean, I'm amazing at faking it. Good for you. I won't do it anymore, but like the people pleaser in me, I was like, let me just like, porn star Tiff came out, man. I was like, they probably thought they were like amazing too. Sorry, any of you who's listening.
I love it.
Barely any of those times connected, just saying.
It's so funny. But yeah, I would say like, I mean, again, that like extreme people pleaser, I'm sure that there was so much shame and guilt around that situation. Like I said, I only had that one therapy session, so I never worked through it. I was just bypassing how it was showing up, that now I know over these last 4 years of doing inner work, I was constantly avoiding, obviously feeling that and working through it, but I didn't know I needed to work through it. So it was like everything I was avoiding. I was a constant hustler. I not only worked a 9 to 5, I had multiple side jobs. I started a health coaching business, and I wasn't just health coaching on the side. I was personally training, and I was bartending, and I was working liquor promotions. Like from Monday through Friday, I was like burnt the fuck out. And then on the weekends, I found myself going out till 3 a.m., drinking and gallivanting. And I mean, of course, I
love that word. That's such a great
gallivanting. Yeah. But, you know, I had a great time. I loved my 20s. I loved my early 30s. Like, I love binge drinking. It's fun to get drunk and be ridiculous, you know? But I also found myself making careless decisions, and ones that I, you know, were not improving anything for me. I would say, so the ex-boyfriend who submitted my information for the show stuff, that was like my last like 2-year, like long-term relationship, because for 4.5 years after that, I was like really, I would say distraught and heartbroken from that relationship. I lost myself a lot in that relationship too. Like extreme people pleaser. Like he was just so good looking. I was like, yeah, okay, we can do whatever you want kind of thing. But yeah, I just felt like really heartbroken. So I feel like those next 4 years, again, it was just like extreme, like burnout, just hustle culture and everything, drinking, being silly. And I would meet guys, and I would maybe go on dates with guys or have liking to them. But I was never like, they were never like choosing me. Like, hey, like, you want to actually date. You want to actually be in a relationship.
Like, I'll hook up with you or I'll party with you, but I'm not going to wife you up.
Right. Exactly. And so in 2017, I was just like, shit has to change. Something has to change. And excuse me, that's like when I decided to like, I left corporate, because I was like, I was making enough money to pay my bills with like my health coaching and my side jobs or my side businesses. So I was like, I'll just go ahead and like quit the corporate life. That's just not serving me anymore anyways. And I stopped dating. I literally 360. Like granted, I love the friends that are still here, but I definitely felt there was a lot of distance between a lot of friends, because I had the friends that were like in relationships or getting married, having kids. And then I had the single friends that were going out, nothing in between. And so I felt very alone and very lonely during this like whole self-love journey of mine. And granted, I was like connected in the health and wellness industry here in Atlanta. So I would put a little like fitness workshops and things like that. And I think that's like when I started listening to Angie Lee's podcast. And so I was like entering her world of entrepreneurs and that kind of thing. So I dove into the Facebook group and started connecting with women on there. And I'm like, okay, they're all health coaches too. This is cool. But of course, there was no one here, like in Atlanta. So it just felt really alone and everything. But I mean, I remember like my parents calling me on a Friday being like, who are you going out with tonight? Because that was like my lifestyle for 10 years. And I was like, I'm not, I'm reading a book. And they're like, are you okay? Are you depressed? Is something wrong? I'm like, no, I just don't want to do that anymore. They're like,
wow,
weird.
So when you left corporate, you left all that. Did you also leave like that hustle? It's really a form of dissociation, that hustle thing, right? Did you leave that behind, or did that follow suit into entrepreneurship as well?
Well, I would say that not at first. Like I felt like I was like on a vacation. I felt like the first 6 months. Like I was like, oh my God, I have so much time to do all the things, you know? But as I want to say probably even over the last 2 years since the show came out, that hustle has come back to life but I'm aware of it. I will recognize, and maybe sometimes I get a little bit too deep into it. And then I'm like, Kelly, hold on. You've learned how to not do this. Let's back it up.
It's a form of a high. Really, right? There's a high, I call it like a productivity high.
Right.
It was a little bit of a high, but you've experienced what comes with the other side, which is a crash.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I experienced. So when Love is Blind came out, I went back into the corporate space because I got myself into.
Oh, did you? I didn't see that part. So what did you do in the corporate space? You're like, I was an accountant. No,
I was. So I had done like account management, account executive type of work prior to leaving the corporate space back in 2017. And so I just like did that again for almost 2 years. So it was like 2019 to March of 2021. So yeah. So when the show aired in February of 2020, I was working corporate and also trying to do my business. I had transitioned so after, I have the longest stories. I'm sorry, but I feel like there's so many details.
I'd cut your ass off if I was bored. It's good. You're doing fine.
Like there's so many details, but okay. So we filmed Love is Blind in 2018, the end of 2018. And then I did hire my first like business and mindset coach because of course, what do? We try to avoid things. That was,
right. The scary things.
That was the thing for me. So because during filming, I wasn't really working with anyone. So I didn't have any clients at the time. And I'm like, well, shit. Okay. I am in this place of I need to get my life back together now because the show was over, the relationship was over, all the things. And honestly, I was heartbroken. So I know that
So you really were like, that was genuine. You really were into that guy.
Yeah, I was really into him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We were, we didn't get married. It makes it look like I said no at the altar. He also said no at the altar. They just didn't show that part. But we had talked about dating, and last day of filming, he was like, yeah, I don't think that's like where I want to go right now.
So once again, back to the old story of not being chosen.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And I'm like, holy shit. I literally, and I told him this sexual assault story. Like there were so many vulnerable stories that I shared with this man. And for literally like a rug to be ripped out because I didn't see him. The show was over. There was no more filming. We were done.
Because now there's like not even any closure either.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Granted, I had his phone number. We could like have the closure, but it was just like, I don't even know. We had it later on, but it was hard. So I'm like heartbroken. I have no money.
I was going to say, I was like, I know these shows don't pay. So
no,
it's not like you were rolling in some cash over here.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, yeah, the money that they paid was enough to pay some of my bills or whatever. But, so I invested in this business and mindset coach, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go all in on my business, avoiding dealing with the shit that I needed to deal with. And she went straight to my trauma, straight to the people pleasing, straight to all this like inner child shadow work shit. And I was like, what did you just do to me? You were the therapist that I never had. Holy cow.
What a blessing.
It was such a blessing. And in that time, I was like learning so much, and it was exciting me, like all this like subconscious reprogramming and just everything that we were going through. And I worked with her for 4 months. I'm actually like, I continue to work with her because I just love her. But she just did so much for me that I was like, okay, I know I've been like health coaching and like offering people like nutrition and fitness advice for a while, but like this is what I need to be doing because this is what transforms people, like the mindset stuff. So needless to say, 2019, I started like transitioning my business, but I didn't really do it. I kind of like pulled the rug out from my like followers and was like, sorry guys, we're going to talk about money mindset all of a sudden. Fuck the nutrition shit.
And they're like, what?
What's going on? So, granted, I think I was just like, I was probably regurgitating more or less of the information than anything because I was just so excited about it. But I feel like sometimes that's how you like integrate and embody is the more you talk about it, right? So I did, but because I wasn't like, now I'm not having any clients come in because people are like, wait, what is she talking about? This is all new for me. I wasn't really honed in on like my new ideal clients. Anyway, so that's why I went into the back to the 9 to 5 because I needed to pay my bills and eat. So I did that. And when the show came out, though, it flashes like across everybody's screens, millions of viewers' screens, that I am a health coach. And I was like, God damn it.
You're like, whoopsie.
I was like, oh my God. Because I was like, I really don't want to sit here and create meals, like workout plans and like meals for people. I've done that for so long and I don't want to do it anymore. So as the show was like rolling out, I started talking. I was like, well, I've been on Love Dating Relationships, or I've done a lot of relationship work myself. I was like, maybe I'll just do like relationship courses and do that kind of thing, which was great. I actually did do that. I did like self-love and dating love relationship course. And I worked with a handful of girls over the last 2 years in that regard. But I was working corporate. I'm trying to do the coaching. I'm showing up online. Like, as an entrepreneur, especially when you're first starting out, it's like, the more you show up, the more consistent you are.
Well, and you wanted to piggyback and parlay off of the influx of attention and followers and interest from a show, which is smart, but it's also overwhelming and a lot.
It's very overwhelming. Yep. And then the brands start reaching out. Now I'm a content creator in addition to my 2 other full-time jobs, right? So now I'm a content creator. Now I'm being asked to be on all these podcasts. Now I'm, being a guest on interviews and all the things. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God for the pandemic because I was able to work from home a month after the show aired. But granted, not thank God, but you know what I mean? Because if I had to drive to work every day, I obviously would have quit like way sooner. But I was working from home, just doing the most. I was like, Monday, I would wake up and I was okay. By Wednesday morning, I was exhausted again.
I think so many people listening who are in that spot can relate. Like, they say, I would have anxiety about Monday. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I could, I like crashed on the weekend, right? I replenished as much as I could. So I could pull off Monday and Tuesday.
Right. I could pull it off.
Wednesday, I was like stuffing my face with carbs and wine. I was like a shit show.
Yeah, it was so bad. I was so tired. I think I honestly, not to say I like consistently did this, but I did do it a couple of times. I definitely took some like Adderall, and I don't take Adderall. I don't even drink coffee. So I was like, because I had to perform in my job.
We have a lot of similarities in our stories. And because you were so tired, because obviously this now, but like your cortisol was so spiked and crashed. Oh my God, girl, I opened up the capsule and I'd rub it on my gums like I did back in the club days, like cocaine, like giving myself a bump. Cause I had nothing, there was nothing, like the well was dry, but you still were like, I still have to perform and pay my bills and get shit done.
Yes. Yeah. So it was insane I remember, I'd go to bed at 8, 9 o'clock on a Friday night or something, not going out. Like I can't do anything because I'm so tired. And I would wake up, there were a handful of weeks in a row. I'd wake up on a Saturday, literally sleep like over 12 hours, wake up maybe at 11 or 12, feeling like I had never slept in 5 days. I was so tired. There was this one time I remember I was like, Kelly, just make it outside and go lay on the grass, go ground yourself, go do that. It took me like 30 minutes just to get out of my house because I went and from my bedroom to my couch and just sat on my couch for a minute. And I was like,
and stared at the wall, basically.
Yeah. And then I would make it to the grass and I would lay there and I would feel a lot better or whatever. And again, it gave me that little bit of energy for the rest of the weekend. And then Monday came around again and it was like that. And the reason I did not leave my job sooner was because my corporate job was paying entry level salary. So it was just covering my bills and my coaching business was not making the money yet.
Okay. Cause I was going to ask you that, why didn't you? So you were in the spot,
right?
Which is exactly who you help coach now, which is pretty cool. Right, where you're in that spot where you're like, I'm making, right? Like I'm bringing in some money here and it feels good, but not enough to safely and comfortably let go of the corporate thing. Exactly. But then now you're being energetically depleted.
Correct. Yep, exactly. And of course, yes, I was making money from the brand deals, but again, I had gotten myself into a financial pickle. So I had been in debt. So all the money that I made from brand deals went to debt, thank God. But I was able to pay off my debt. So thank goodness for that. But it was like, I was just like money in, money out the whole time. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm never getting ahead. And I had maybe a couple of girls do like some one-on-ones, and that like obviously gave me a little bit more extra money. But in March or February, Valentine's weekend of 21, I had my first and so far only anxiety or panic attacks. I'm assuming that's what they were because I had never experienced it before. But I woke up at 6 a.m. both Saturday and Sunday, heart racing, couldn't really breathe, mind just like fluttering. And I'm like, what is going on? I went home and like stayed with my parents for a week. And as soon as my dad was like, okay, I'm going to drive you back to Atlanta, it was like the anxiety just came all back up. And I think I stayed at the job for another week and a half. And I called my boss and I was like, I can't do this. I don't care if I'm not making jack shit money. I can't do this anymore.
You chose your health and yourself, and you had to.
Yeah. And I had to. Yep. And somehow, you know, I'm like big believer in manifestation and the universe having your back. And it did. Like taxes came around and I thought I owed a bunch of money, and I did not owe like more than like $200. And I was like, thank God.
Isn't it interesting how notice that whole weaving, right? Of pain, that you had pain. You were probably got sick a lot like I did, right? You didn't have a great social life. You were exhausted. You didn't have time. All this stuff that you were still in pain, but it wasn't enough pain until it was for you to quit and choose you and take that terrifying risk of going all in on doing your own thing.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
And how long did it take doing your own thing before you were like, okay, like this is stable, like I'll be okay?
I'm like, well, I recognize, it's funny because you just said that a minute ago. You're like, oh, now you're like doing what you want to be doing. So I recognize that it was still a people pleasing thing and like what I feel like I should be doing. So the whole like although I love helping people with relationships, it's just not the only thing that lights me up. So like I said, I recognize that I was doing it because, it makes sense for me to do relationship coaching because I came from a relationship show versus, but Kelly, what do you really fucking want to do? And I jam on business strategy and mindset, like money mindset. I fucking love it. I love empowering people through financial wealth and like launching and growing their online coaching businesses. That's my jam. I love it. And it took me, like I said, I left that corporate job in March of 21. It's been rough. It has been rough. I mean, I don't know why I didn't do it before, but I literally 2 weeks ago, I think I created a separate Instagram account solely for my podcast as well as my coaching stuff so that I could create all the content there, because what was happening, what I recognized, I'm showing up and doing a bunch of coachy content on my new public figure page. Well, not everybody needs love advice. Not everybody needs relationship advice. Not everybody needs this stuff. I mean, or they don't think they need it. Let's put it that way, right? So my engagement drops. Now brands aren't working with me. So now I'm like tapping out on that income stream. And my coaching business is just like a fucking emotional roller coaster because although I tell all my clients don't get wrapped up in engagement, I was wrapped up in engagement. And maybe
that's also a high. I mean, and I'm honest about it.
Yeah.
It's an ego high. It's a proven fact. It's a dopamine high, which is why all these social platforms have things like likes and the floating hearts and shit. It's like people like my stuff. People like me. And it goes back to your I'm liked, right? Like that whole, it feels, and then conversely, when the shit drops, which it does for everybody, even for Kim K. You know what I'm saying? Like it drops for everybody, especially when you're selling something. It drops for everybody. And then that doesn't feel good.
Totally. Oh yeah. It's like the worst. So it was a struggle. And, I read over Christmas of last year, I was at my parents' house and my mom had the book, A New Earth. And somehow I just felt this like, I don't know, just like calling to read this book, and I'm reading it. And I was like, oh my God, this is what's been going on in my brain. My spiritual and human self have been at fucking war since that goddamn show rolled out. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. And because it's true, it's like, okay, I choose alignment, my higher self. But then it's like all the like human things were like keeping me stuck and holding me back from things. I'm sure if I just leaned into the business coaching or even just the relationship coaching or whatever I leaned into and stayed consistent with it, maybe my Instagram would have been like fine. But I was so like just wavering the whole time. And obviously we know if our energy is all over the place, of course we're not going to be making money. And because our money's like, where the fuck am I supposed to go? Like, so I would say it's just been in the last like few weeks that I've been like, Kelly, it's game time. Like, this is not okay.
I appreciate your honesty. I knew you were going to be that honest. And I appreciate that because you just have taken away so much shame and self-judgment and nastiness that people listening are saying to themselves, like, what's wrong with me? Why isn't it working? Because they're watching people like me. They're watching, people like our friend Kayla, like they're watching people going, oh my God, but like they're making millions and it looks so easy for them. And you guys don't know, I don't pretend like it's easy. It's easy now because I've been doing it a while, but it's like, there's that comparison and someone landing on your account, which you guys go follow. We're going to have, you guys have to follow both of our accounts. So your main public figure account is Chase Life with Kelly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's the one? What's the coaching one?
It's Chase Life with Kelly podcast.
Okay. Okay. So one is Chase Life with Kelly. One's Chase Life with Kelly podcast that you can swipe up. It's in the show notes. So make sure you follow both because it would also be an interesting lesson for you to see what she probably posts on both.
Yeah.
But when someone lands on your, we'll just call it your public figure account, they're making assumptions that you're making $1 million a week. And 100%. Like you have like Nabisco knocking at your door, paying you $100,000 to post yourself eating a cookie.
Yeah. I'm very far from it, listeners. I am very far from it to the point, like interviewing for jobs. Like, yeah.
And we're not on my watch. I'm not allowing that to happen.
I know. I was like, Kelly, you get your shit together because that's not what you want. And you know it. So and it's not about getting my shit together. My mom always is like, Kelly, I feel like you're always working. I'm like, I am. I'm always creating content. I'm always doing podcasting stuff. Like I'm always doing something or reworking something, trying to see what the missing puzzle piece is. Like, why is it feeling so hard? Right. And then of course, those like money stories for me come up that are like, oh, well, making more money is hard, or like we have to work hard to make money. And I'm like, no, we're not even creating our own evidence for that, Kelly Chase.
But it still is. That is so, and the corporate structure weaves that in. We have like decades of it. We have generational stuff with that.
Yes.
Because you actually we all have a leg up, but you're sitting on a gold mine already. Even if, because 3% of your audience is ready to buy from you at any given time. So let's say we got rid of, even we pared it all the way down to you having even 50,000 people. 3% of that 50,000 people, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, it is.
So it's not about that. It's about there's a hole in the strategy.
Right.
And that you're obviously a multi-passionate person.
I am. Yep.
Is there part of you that feels, because you went straight for like the health thing and the nutrition health thing for a while. Is there a part of you that doesn't like the thought of being confined and defined in one space?
But I want to say it's more of a people pleaser. Like just that deep rooted, like people pleaser. Oh, well, if I'm helping this person, I can't help this person. But that's not even I want to say that's like a subconscious thing. It's not even a conscious thing because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but when I have people, like I show them what they, what is that saying? Give them what they want, show them what they need. Because like when I'm coaching people on business strategy, we talk about your relationship. We're going to talk about your health. We're going to talk about all the things. Like I know that, but I think, Yes. No, I don't think that it's like that I'm just like so narrowed and confined to it. It's just, I feel like I can help all these people. So I know that that has been, again, it's the jump around energy that I've had, which the like energy is just so like, where am I going? What am I doing? Because like I'll launch something and I'm like, or I'll talk about maybe like business stuff. And then 3 days later, I'll talk about relationship stuff. So I know that, yes, it has been an inconsistency, but I'm like, but I can help you with all this stuff.
And this is a classic problem I see with clients who come to me is when we are telling people I can help you with the mindset, I can help you with the healing of the stuff, I can help you with the money, I can help you with the relationships. When even though I totally get it and it's true, like I get it, but how it reads psychologically to someone who's a potential client is it sounds too good to be true. It's almost like how it like short circuits people's minds. Like, how is that even possible? So we have to pick the lane that they believe is their biggest stumbling block and problem right now to having what they want, because people only buy what they believe they need. And trust that once they come to you, they might come to you for, their money wounds or money mindset. But then you'll get a testimonial about, I had no idea, happened. And I was like operating out of no self-worth. And now I've met the man of my dreams.
Right.
But if that's not what they believe they need, they'll never resonate and lean in and come in.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
I do think that is one of the main issues of people who do like a lot of mindset and like healing type, work, is because we know that's the cornerstone of the thing. And it does help with everything. It helps clear up your skin. I mean,
it does.
I have decreased inflammation in my body from doing that work.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, it's the foundation. It helps everything.
It's do it, people. It helps everything. Like, why can that not be the marketing plan right there? Well, I so appreciate your honesty. And I think, I was wondering, we were talking before we came on, because like we've met and we have many of the same like friends and acquaintances. And I was like, how did this not occur before? But I was like, it always happens in divine timing. And I think it happened because Kelly Chase decided it's time to get my shit together. But really, like we became aligned energetically. Our frequencies are now aligned.
Yes.
Because I'm like the overly grounded Virgo, like, and so with people who are up here, right, who are like really all, kind of jumping around, like you said, like until you hit a certain frequency, we usually don't connect.
Yeah. Interesting. I love that. Well, I
mean, most people I attract are, you guys are, I like say it lovingly, you guys are all over the fucking place. And I like, okay, let's siphon it down. We're going to siphon it down. Because every energy healer goes, Tiffany, you have a lot of roots and like 3 branches. And you have, which is very obvious by your energy, seeing you and talking to you, you have 1,000 branches.
Yeah, I do.
And I mean, I could use a few more branches and you could use a few more roots.
I can. Yes,
and this is why you guys were not meant to do this shit alone.
Right. Absolutely.
Because we each have different things that play off one another. What a beautiful conversation. I really, appreciate you sharing your story. There's very few of us who have done the work who are able to share it. And therefore, so many women and men, and however someone identifies, feel very alone because there aren't that many people sharing it. So I commend you. It's rare that I'm able to have someone on who will share as openly as I do. And I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You guys swipe up. All of her things are in there. Now you have to go hit her up and go into her DMs and be like, so I heard you got your shit together. Go say hi. I know she'll answer you because she does check her DMs and is just as genuine as she is on here as she is, in real life. So go say hi. Thanks for coming on. Love you guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.